And then I will mute everybody. Okay, so again, the foundational mute. The foundational practice here is sitting. Sitting because it is safe. We feel comfortable doing it usually, but we can practice the primary underlying sort of ideas that are important. So scooting to the front edge of your chair so that the only part of your body touching the chair are those two buttock bones or sits bones, ischial tuberosities. And then this allows you to find what's called zhongjung or central upright, or that central pillar. Usually we need to give the chin a little bit of a down gesture to open and lengthen the back of the neck. And that is what gives us the crown up. Because usually if people say lift the crown of the head, people do something like this. They lift the chin, but it's the opposite of that. It's this slight down of chin that creates this almost like a gentle tug up quality. So helps to create that zhongjung. And then we need to relax the body, very important and easier said than done, especially when dealing with the Parkinson's, right? You obviously know that better than me. But to release the grip and hold in our body is an ongoing attempt. As my teacher says, there's no end to the practice of softening. No end to that practice. You can always be a little softer, a little looser, a little more at ease. So just having that in our mind, that's just basically like you can always soften more. And also there's no end to the practice of stillness. There's always a deeper state of ease and stillness that we can be cultivating. So it's constant, and that's why we need our daily practice. And if I were in the position like some of you, where the Parkinson's is this sort of variable that's always there, I'd be doing short duration practices multiple times a day, where you sit, you breathe, you try to calibrate brain and body. You try to, again, master this ability to tell the nervous system, release, to release that tension in the body. So these practices, this opening practice is something you could do 2, 3, 4 times a day for 5, 6 minutes. Just calibrate, recalibrate, recalibrate. So that's a suggestion. Whether you do it or not, it's up to you. So again, we've got zhongjung or central upright, that pillar with the slight crown of head sort of up quality. Then chun one, or releasing, softening into stability. So that's important that you are releasing your body, not trying to suspend it above the ground, or not trying to hold it in this position, but you are releasing, relaxing, softening, without losing the integrity of zhongjung or central upright, but yet you're allowing this sort of down descent settling. And you can picture it like a glass of water when it's let's say you stirred it up and there was some sediment in there, but then after a period of time, that sediment naturally consolidates down at the bottom. So that consolidating sediment down at the bottom is where our stability comes from. So keep that idea in mind as you're sitting, letting the weight go through, And then also the third idea, Qing Ling, which means light, nimble, agile. So what ends up being left over in this body when we let the excess weight out is agility, looseness, freedom of movement, an ability to move with ease. So that's what we're doing with Tai Chi practice. Zhong Zheng, Chun One, or softening into stability, and then Qingling, this light, nimble quality. Let's take 5 long, smooth breaths as you just cultivate those ideas. Eyes can close or stay open. Breath in through the nose, out the nose or the mouth. Notice how breathing opens us up from the inside, and then with the exhale, there's a sort of a release opportunity, a melting opportunity. So shedding, sloughing off layers of tension, grip, constriction. And the experience of relaxation is from the middle out. You feel a little plumper, a little more space between the layers that make you up, right? Now, keeping that soft, kind of open, plump feeling, let's slide the hands back, elbows back, shoulder blades back, chest lift, chin lift, and gently arch. And then the opposite, slide hands forward past the knees, the chest hollows back, drop the head and around. And then slide the hands back again, elbows back, chest up, chin up, look up, arch. And sliding hands forward. 3 more. Your goal here is to use only the necessary amount of effort. So very often we see a movement and we grab onto our body with tension and then force it through the movement. Whereas Tai Chi is inviting us to say, soft, stay liquid, stay fluid, and just apply the force that's needed and feel that ease, that smoothness, that gliding that is available. Now come back to neutral and rotation. Left hand forward, right hand elbow back, rotate, turn, and stay relaxed as you come back across the middle and twisting gently to the other side, and then back through middle, twist. And back through middle and twist. Back through. So these parts that we're using, these movable parts, these are the ones that tend to get stuck. Maybe a couple of them move and then some others are totally frozen. And what we need over time is just this freedom of all the parts to move. And then movement becomes easier and easier. Let's relax in the middle, arms hang. Soft lean to your right, left wrist floats up, just soft lean, and then soft lean. So this is in the lateral direction, sideways, letting the head softly lean. And this one's really good at helping you find this middle, right? So my hand is touching my belly button. That represents the middle level of the body. So I can be totally on this side and totally on this side, and yet the middle of the seesaw remains as a constant. That doesn't mean it doesn't move a little bit, but it's just saying when we're relaxed and loose, the middle is where we get our organization and our sort of safety rather than from tightening everything up. It's by releasing everything around this middle of you. Now, hang in the middle here, shoulders forward, up, back, down. So again, on the Friday class, we go over more of these joint mobilization movements. We kind of get a little more into the minutia of it. But here we're just kind of doing this basic minimum of warm up, right? Shoulders loosening, reverse, back and up, over top, down. So this is our scapula, our shoulder blades on our back that are connected to our arms. Loosening. And back to middle. Bend the elbows. Elbows go out, up, down. Around in front, squeeze, down. So we're trying to unpack or open up places where the body, the usual suspects of where everything gets glued together, which then creates cumbersome, clumsy movement and a feeling of being top heavy. Now, elbows straight back, down, forward, up, forward, down, back. So again, it's like wringing out a rag. We're wringing out the chest, shoulder, upper back, shoulder blade, arm connection. Just a number one area that gets totally wound up and bound up. Now, elbows out, one above, one below. Hug your own body. Give yourself a big bear hug. And then open straight out to the sides, not back, sides. And then closing, opening, switching, closing, opening. One more. Down and release. Swing. So this feeling, this empty space, or this open space, you could say, not necessarily empty, but loose, free. And then right arm forward, left arm back, switch. Let this movement cause a little bit of turning at the lower back and belly button level. Allow just a little soft twist. That doesn't mean you twist. It just means let there be a movable, kind of like a turnstile that just is free to move, free to rotate. And relax. Let's just quickly warm up the legs. Right knee up and pull the heel in and then push. And then reload, set the foot down. Switch, load, push, load, down. Push, down, push, down. Now, right leg out, point foot, flex foot. So we want that foot free rather than glued to the lower leg. We need it to be free. So now invert, evert, tilt, tilt. So often when I'm teaching this initially, people are moving the leg and everything's staying glued together. We really want to free up this foot and then circle again, free that space between your foot and your lower leg bones. You want to have that be open and reverse. Reverse. That's what gives us adaptability and an ability to deal with, like, stepping on a pebble, stepping on some uneven ground. Switch, straighten that left leg, point foot, flex foot. And then invert, tilt, evert, tilt. In, evert, in. And circle. And reverse. and down. Now scoot forward to the front edge of your chair once more. And we just got to open up this space. So similar to how we were opening this space, we got to have this, what's called the quad, open as well. So step your feet a little wider than hip distance. Lift your toes up and then turn toes and knees in. Do so from up in here in the hip and groin, an internal rotation. And then lift the toes and external rotation. So opening at this space and then closing that space. Internal, opening, external. The pelvis is kind of eventually just feels like it's just sitting there floating. And then there's this freedom of movement, kind of like the leg bones are in a liquid matrix and they can just float in and float out, which is very different than how it is when we're tight, we're stuck, and we have to force and we're sort of jammed. So with our movements, we want to cultivate open, fluid, and free. Now back to neutral, bring your legs to hip distance. Now from that very same space, fold, fold forward, and then sit back up, and then lean slightly back. So this is really important. That space that we're talking about, when it's open, this whole movement should be pretty free. And again, when you do it, you might feel some stretch to your back, stretch to your buttocks. You'll feel it wherever you are stuck, wherever you are tight. But over time, with regular practice, this becomes like falling off a log. It's just like, oh yeah, it's easy to do that. And then the power of that as we go to stand up and sit down is we can stay loose in the arms, loose at the hips, slide your feet back and just stay loose, fold. Now get the shoulders and arms a little beyond the ankles, and then just stand up and keep this loose feeling. And same thing when we fold, just at that loose space, and then we're just sinking over that space, and we're back. So we just executed a powerful movement, standing up and sitting down, but you can feel ease rather than work and effort and constriction. It's more like just opening space and doing everything with the least possible, the minimum amount of what they call lead or effort-based strength. And we learn to do as much as possible with sung, or soft, supple, pliable, relaxed strength. Now, do the same thing, but don't sit in your chair. So use this as if you just dropped something to the ground and you need to go pick it up. You fold at the hips, you sit your butt low, you dangle your arms, get down, and you can pick up the pen or your glasses or whatever's on the ground. And then you just push through the earth and stand back to vertical. And again, without effort or without any extra effort. Fold, sinking, get down there. And when you do this right, when you do this in a relaxed manner, what it also does, which is very important, is it opens. See how my hands are going around from the middle out? We want our back opening in that direction, as well as opening from the sacrum going down and the top of the spine going up. So they often describe that like an archer's bow. Like if you draw a bow and that roundedness that a archer's bow will have. So let's do a couple more of these little squats and see if you can feel that. Just stay relaxed. Sacrum is going down, chin is slightly down, crown is up. And when you sink, you're just looking for that route down where you feel opening and opening in those directions. Tail goes back. You also want to make sure your knees are happy, so you're not punching your knees forward. The butt is back, and so the knees are really happy. They like this shape when we do it correctly. So again, Tai Chi is just the correct functional movements of our body. Now, you have a chair over to your right. Step and turn to face that chair. Get my feet in. And so here, the chair for safety, try not to lean all the way on it, just have it for safety. And now tip into your toes a little bit. And then middle. And then into the heels a little bit. So this is another functional idea of the body and how the body is not symmetrical front to back. So in the front, you can really lean, right? If you see in my body, I'm creating an interesting sort of forward angle, but I don't create a corresponding angle when I go back into the heels. I actually create kind of a C shape as I move back from my middle into my heels, and then toes, heels, toes. Now, the next time you're in your toes, stay in your toes, lift. Come back down, rock back to your heels. Now really use your chair here for safety as you pull the toes up off the floor. And then forward, lift, down, back into your heels, lift those toes. Over time, you might play around doing this with no grab to the chair, but especially on the one going back, be very careful. Be very careful. All right, and then we're back to middle. Now turn, face forward. So we let our weight now go more into the right leg, and then more into the left leg. So from this middle pivot, how casual can you be changing left to right? Now, when our middle is frozen, when our body's sort of stuck in tension, what you'll see a lot, what I see a lot is this. You see how I'm kind of taking this upper body and I'm taking over here, but this part of me is stuck in place. And so this is a very precarious balance versus if I'm loose and relaxed. And then from here, I just let a little bit of side lateral movement happen. And then we're middle, and then we're over to this other side. So it's a very small amount, but it has to come from the right place. The other important part is this chun one. So when you let the weight go over to your right leg, you've almost got it. And then the next bit is you have to release. You have to unclench all the musculature and joints of that leg, so that what happens is it's like a spring, like a bed spring. It receives the weight, and that's what liberates this leg. And then we switch, change. So you go over just enough to get the weight above that leg, and then you got to let it go through. Chun one. Feel that springiness, right? And then we change. And let it go down to the earth. Because in some ways, we're always fighting away from the earth, clenching and holding this body. So instead, go to the earth. Look for your support from the earth. And the rest of your body be as chingling, loose and nimble as possible as you change and change. Now, next level of this. Stay in your left leg. Can you get to the tippy toe? See how again, I'll turn a little sideways. I'm just getting to the tip of the shoe, letting this knee bend, letting this hip hinge, and then I'm taking the leg back down, change the weight, and now just lift heel, let knee bend, let hip hinge a little bit. Down, change, tippy toe, down. Especially when you're learning, trying to really get this underlying skill, try not to prematurely lift the foot. So really wait until your body weight gets through and this feels empty. And then just with that chingling quality, that song quality, just loose, and then change. Loose, change. If you let the weight go down, that's what liberates the up. Level 2, let the weight go down, get to the tippy toe, and then again, here's your chair for safety. Lift and lower. When you lower, place the whole foot down without the body weight going into the leg. So it's empty. It remains empty as you place it back to the floor, and then change. Let the weight go down through as you get to the tippy toe. Use your chair for balance and safety. Lift, lower, change. Get to the tippy toe. Disconnect. Reconnect to the floor without your body weight clumsily falling into the foot. Then change. Soft. Come to rely on softness. Now, when you're first learning it, it will feel a little less stable than when you're holding the body so tight. So you might be soft and feel little quivers and little wiggles, but over time, that layer of awareness and strength and stability supports us. So there's something underneath what we've been using to support ourselves that we have to train and bring online. And that's, again, Tai Chi. That's what we're doing. So now level 3, tippy toe. Now, how high can you get this knee? So use the chair as needed to really get this hip hinge, this knee up, the golden rooster leg here. And then the leg all the way down without any body weight. Then change. Now again, tippy toe. Use the chair so that you can completely lift. And down. Change. Use the chair as needed to completely lift. Lower without the weight falling into the leg. And then change. And so the emptiness of the leg is what gives it swiftness. It's when it's empty and loose that you can lift and lower without anything being disturbed in your overall structure. So that's swiftness that comes in Tai Chi when you've loosened up and cleaned out everything that's in the way. Then there's this suddenness and swiftness and efficiency to our movement. Now, take the weight into your left leg, right foot empty. Again, this is my left, but I'll be saying right because I'm your mirror. Put the foot out in front. Now, heel touching, toe up. From here, just change the weight into your right leg. Get to the tippy toe of your left foot. And then change the weight back and get to the tip of the heel. Change the weight, tip of the toe. Change, tip of the heel. This is a very important part here that we are moving forward, but we shouldn't think forward because then this starts to happen. We start to lurch and backwards. Then we're up here. Instead, think down. Just go down to the earth, down to the earth. And the body will move forward by itself. You just keep your middle. You just keep thinking Zhongjung, Chunwan, meaning soften to the earth. Soften to the earth. And then you think Qingling, which is, hey, this leg is light, so let's go level 2. Lift, lower, it's light, it's empty. And then we change. Now this leg is not light and empty. This one is, so we can go lift, lower with no problem. And then shift back and wait until this is completely your full leg. Then this leg should lift and lower with ease. And then you shift, make sure you got the connection to the earth, then this should be no problem. Now let's flow that a little bit. Just change. And then as you change, let the weight go to the earth. You can flamingo that foot. Hip hinge. Bend. Now level 3, use the chair. Get all the way up. And down to the heel. Then change the weight. Now this one, heel to butt and bring that knee forward and up. So that you can then practice reaching back with no body weight. And then shift down to the earth. As you have the down connected, the up becomes available. Down. Shift. As you got your down connected, up, back. Again, the down. When we learn to rely on the down correctly, all this up here is way easier. So it's just underneath the surface. What we're looking for stability, support, freedom of movement. It's all just under the surface. Now, let's switch sides. Bring your right foot next to your left foot. Change the weight to your right. Side step. Move closer to your other chair. Now, put the weight into your right leg, left foot out in front, heel touching. Super casual, just relaxed as can be. Shift. And shift. Anything we're holding is making us more likely to feel like we could fall. There's a saying in Tai Chi, top empty, bottom full. And then the further saying is top and bottom empty, weight underneath you in the ground. So that's where the whole body feels loose, but we first have to empty out this upper body strain and let it get down through. Level 2. From this empty leg hip, and again, use the chair as needed. Lift. Touch the heel back down. Shift. Now, as the weight gets through that leg to the earth, this other foot is free, so you can do a little flamingo, just a little bend of the knee. Shift back. Yeah. Shift. Knee. Shift. And again, I'll turn sideways at times. You just keep going forward and back, but I'm turning sideways so you can see some of the angles and see the zhong. See how my vertical is not disturbed by this change, where at the beginning, it's hard to find that, but over time, it's like you're floating. It's like there's this interior upright quality that just is floating along, easy. Level 3, as the weight goes down, same idea. This knee up, we want this undisturbed. Down, change. This to come all the way up and all the way behind without any disturbance to that quality of easy. Lift lower, shift. Lift lower, shift. So when practicing, keep examining places where you're doing something like this, or doing something like this, or something like this, and just drop it. Just get really good at just dropping and releasing. Now let's switch sides again. Change the weight to your left leg, right foot in front. Now, change your weight into your right leg. You're on your tippy toes, and then just step that empty foot forward. Just step it forward so the heel is touching, and then shift into that leg. So now we're doing one whole walk forward. Shift into that back leg. When your front foot is empty, step it behind, keep it empty, and then shift so that this one is now empty. And then it's change. Step while it's empty, keep it empty, change. And then shift, step, shift. Remember this idea of premature stepping. Premature stepping is when we try and step the foot before we've completely gotten over there, and so it's not really empty, so then it ends up being kind of this jumping, awkward quality, instead of make sure it's 100% empty, and then change. Wait for it. Eventually it can happen instantaneous, where you just go, relax down to the earth, and then it's empty, and then relax down to the earth, but we've got to undo a lot of that internal tension. Level 2, from the hip, lift, lower. Now here, use chair as needed. Now we're stepping over something. So pick up that foot, step, shift. And then this back leg, we do a little flamingo, touch the toe down, and then we're shifting. And now this one can be tricky. Leg in front, lift, bend the knee, and then push back through the leg so the toe touches behind you, and then shift. from this hip, lift, lower, shift. And then as this foot is empty, it can lift up and over. Chain, up, tuck, reach. I'm going to do a couple turns sideways so you can see it. Lift, lower, shift. And then this foot comes up and over something, an imaginary obstacle. Shift. Just notice what we're training is one full, one empty. Other full, other empty. Zhong zheng, chun wan, qing ling. Okay. Now, level 3, use the chair, lift, lower, shift, and then this back leg, heel, knee, foot, down. So it's just kind of an exaggerated challenge to say, how much can you let one leg be full, other empty? Now we go backwards. Change, get so well connected down through your right leg that you can lift, tuck, reach, and then shift. And then it's knee, heel, shift. Then it's heel to butt, knee up, foot out, then shift. And then again, up, back. And feet together. Change sides. Side step. Closer to this chair. Put the weight through your right leg, left foot in front. Now we shift. When right foot is empty, just step, shift. Shift back. Wait for it to be empty. Step it and keep it empty. Then shift. I'll turn sideways so you can see. Shift, step, shift. Shift, step, shift. Shift, step, shift. Shift back, step back, shift back. Keep going. Couple more. Loose and relax. Learning to trust the ground. Trust that you can release and plug into the ground and get support from it. Level 2, hand on chair as needed. Lift, lower, shift. Now an imaginary obstacle's on the floor, so you got to pick the foot up, step it over, and touch it back to the earth without having committed your body weight to it. And then you shift. Bend your back knee so that it does a little flamingo. Toe down, shift back. Now, this front leg, it has to come up a little in front, then bend the knee, then reach the toe back, all without changing body weight, and then shift back. From this hip, lift, lower, shift. Now the obstacle's on the floor. Pick up the foot, step it over, set it down, shift. Flamingo, that left leg, toe down. Now we're going backwards. Shift. The leg has to come up, tuck, reach, shift from the hip. Couple more. Eventually these just flow. They're just natural. It's like a long-legged bird, like a heron. Stepping where it plants the foot, picks that foot up, puts it through the water without disturbing the fishies. All right, so we're learning how to move with this stillness, this agility that comes from that stillness. Let's go level 3. Hand on chair as needed as you go up, back down, shift. Now, once you're down through to the earth, this whole big movement can happen without disturbing your deep stillness. And then bring this knee up, back, shift, up, tuck, reach. So it's all organized around the stable part. So a lot of times we're thinking about the moving leg, but it's actually the other leg that makes this possible. Then this leg makes this possible. And then it's the other one. The other one. So then we learn, oh, Tai Chi is about connecting to the ground and releasing and finding that freedom of movement that comes from that. And back. Okay, now just stay where you are. I'm changing my space to match you. Okay, now move to your left so that you're almost off the screen, right? See how I'm all the way back here? I'm almost off the television screen. Now we're going to walk across. The chairs are your safety. So now, level 1, put your left foot in front, and then just shift. Step, shift, step, shift. So just walk forward. When you get to the end of your runway, walk backwards, shift, wait for the foot to be empty, step it while it's still empty, and then shift. Step, shift, 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 shift. That's level 1. Let's do it again. Now make it as casual as you can, where the body weight's out of the body. You're just cruising across the room, light, nimble. And then you go backwards when you're ready. Remember, down is the way, not back or forwards. And let's do one more, either level 1, or if you want to try level 2, where you pick the foot up each time and step over something. So that's just an added test to see, are you really committing down to the earth through one leg and then committing down through the other? Change. So in Yang Tai Chi, they have 5 principles, and one of those principles is separate, empty, and full. One of 5, so it's pretty important, right? And so that's what we're doing here, is learning how to separate and then separate again or change, right? Now turn and face forward, but stay on the left side of your space. Let the weight go through your left leg, right foot empty, step out, step in. Now I'm going to add to that. So again, your secret sword, this little thing here, this little hand position, it's just a common one. But use it as a pointer and find your inguinal crease. So genital area in the middle, find that crease on either side and follow it up right to this little connection point. So this qua area. So gently touch that so that you can feel it. So now with your weight through your left leg, left qua is closed. Right now, right qua is closed as well. So now open, close, open. So feel this space, open and close. Now, a lot of times when people do this, they put their foot out like this and they keep this pinched and closed. So the challenge is to go out, put the heel down as well, and then bring it in, but with no body weight. Because if I go with my body weight, this is still pinched and closed, and they're both just sort of pinched, right? So we're opening, closing, opening, closing, open, close. Now, open and stay open, right qua is open. Now, closing right qua, open left. Feel that space. Now, close left, open right. Remember Zhong Zheng, vertical pillar, undisturbed. Now, again, it doesn't mean you have to force it to stay perpendicular in the space, but it's an idea that you don't want to be leaning. You want this middle to just travel through that space freely. Now, the next time you've closed the right, your body weight's down through the right, left is open. Bring the left in, left out. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. Final time. Now close, bring your feet as together as you can, maybe touching. Both quads are closed. Now change your weight to your left leg, to your right leg. This one is so good at showing us how the primary direction is down, because I'm only able to move laterally a very small amount here, but yet I have to get 0 and then change and have 0 and then change. And I can't do it by leaning to do that, right? That's sort of cheating yourself. So find that down to the earth, loose, where the quads are closed and yet you're changing full and empty. Now, weight in your left leg, open the right, change, so your body weight's in the right, left quad open, left leg empty, bring the foot in, and then change. Right foot steps out. So we're traveling to our right now. We're sidewalking. Bring the foot in. Change. Out. Change. In. Change. Out. Opening and closing quad. Let's switch directions. Left foot out. Change. Right quad has to be open, then close it. Change full and empty. Left quad opens. Then it closes as right quad opens. Step in. Change. Out. So again, what a lot of times people do, if you think, oh, I can do this. Hey, I did it. I'm doing it fast, right? But this is clumsy walking, where this has us connected to the earth and eventually can be very swift, and yet we're not up here teeter-tottering across the room, right? So see if you can get this feeling. And again, Tai Chi starts us slow to lead us to swift. Let's go there and back one more time. Out, change, in, change, out, change, in. See what I'm doing with my hands now. So again, if you're coming to the Friday class, you know this movement as the bear washes paws in the stream, which is we're shifting and we're adding a turn, but yet the legs are still doing the same thing. We're doing change, empty to full, back the other way, shift and turn, brush and sweep, stepping in, then shift leg, turn, brush, sweep, step out. Shift, turn, brush, sweep, step in. So I'm going to go back to not doing the complex so that you see from the waist down, it's just change, step, change, step, change, step, change, step. And then all that's happening is we're just washing our paws in the stream. Let's go again. So Tai Chi walking with this freedom of movement. And so all this outer activity that you see with the sweeping and the reaching, when we do that with our body stiff, each of these movements risks throwing us off balance. But what you start to feel as you soften and you open up the interior mechanics and spaces is that there's a stillness that is present throughout. No matter if I'm all the way full and everything's over here, or now I'm all the way full the other way and everything's over there and I'm stepping. there's an organization around the still middle that brings everything together. And then come to stillness. Shogun, wings, turn palms up, roll over top, and then settle down to the middle, down to your navel. Pausing there. And then hands come down. Now step into the middle between your chairs so that you got your safety rails there. Now change your weight to your left leg. Right leg is empty. Turn the foot out. Turn it back to neutral. Then turn the foot in. Back to neutral. Now be relaxed and soft enough that as you turn your right foot out, your pelvis turns a little bit and your chest and gaze turn a little bit. And let's all just point the fingers, both of them. So your right arm points and your left arm reaches across and points over there. And then as you come back across the middle, point forward and then point to the other side. So now we're just going to switch and switch. The weight is in this left leg the whole time, and we're arranging ourselves here and then arranging ourselves here. External and internal. So this one is helping us find that whole rotational plane. Now come back to middle, change legs, put the weight into your right leg, turn left foot out, pointing to the left, and then turn and point left toes in, point across the body. Out. Cross. In. Out. In. So loose and loose. Now back to middle and release. Change your weight to your left leg again. Turn right foot out. Body turned a little bit that way. Now shift the weight down to the earth through your right leg. Bring your left foot next to your right foot. And then change the weight into your left leg. Empty right foot, turn it out again. Then the weight down through the right leg. Bring the left foot to match the right foot. So we're quarter turning in a circle around the room. Turn right foot out. Change the weight. Going into it. Bring the left foot to match it. Change the weight to the left. Turn the right foot out again. And shift. And let's do that again. Right foot out. Now have this idea that there's a central pillar, Zhongjang, that is undisturbed. And it's just turning, like if you had a staff or a wooden stick and you were just turning it around right where it is, it kind of is staying exactly where it is in space. It's just changing its orientation. Let's go the other way. Left foot empty, turn it out. Turn, rotate. Right foot empty, turn it out. One of the main ways I've seen this with people that I work with is where, let's say you're sitting on a couch with a coffee table and you stand up and then there's this very little space there and there's a difficulty getting out because we think we need more room than we actually do to just change orientation. Change orientation. And so it's very powerful to be able to change your orientation by 45, 90 degrees without actually needing any extra space around you. So go around twice to your left. So try to take up as little room as possible and yet change your orientation in space as maximally as possible. Okay, now when you're facing forward, stay there. So notice that this one is sort of, we could say, a forward trajectory, right? It's forward in a sense. This next one is a sort of backwards in a sense. So right foot, instead of turning it out, turn it in. And then we're shifting into the right leg and bringing the left foot to match. So we're sort of moving backwards in space and changing our orientation. And then do it again. Empty your right foot and you turn it in. You kind of pigeon toe your feet. And then you shift into that right leg, and it's kind of like you're backing into space. Pigeon toe the right foot, this little awkward position, and then shift and reorient yourself back to neutral. Right foot, toes turn in, and then reorient to neutral. Go around twice. Pigeon toe. Remember, this foot's empty when you turn it, and then you go down through it and orient. Remember your Zhong Zheng, same rule, because what I often notice is people start looking at the ground and the butt goes back. And then when we're doing this, there's these like orbiting parts that can really throw you off. So in some ways, we're a little bit afraid to find our true Zhong Zheng or our vertical. But it's only when we find that vertical do we find this ease of movement. Even though it's a little scary at first, we got to soften and relax down through the earth with our vertical and make our way around. And then finally, the other way, left foot, chain. Empty the left foot, pigeon toe it, chain. Keep your vertical. Keep this floating quality. Go around twice, pigeon toe, chain. Pigeon toe, chain. Reorient. So it's empty foot, and then we shift. Empty foot, shift. Now, when you're facing forward, this is our last exercise of the day. We're putting those two exercises together. Watch me do it once. Right foot turn out. So now I'm moving down through and rotating. And then this left empty foot, I pigeon toe it. And now in just 2 foot movements, I was able to turn 180 degrees in space and not really take up much room. And then I'm going to do it again. Right foot, it's empty, right? And then I'm going down through it. Then my left foot is empty and I'm pigeon toeing it. And then I'm going down through that. And now here I am back facing forward. So let's do that together. Right foot out, shift. And this should still have that quality of Zhong Zheng just turning in place. Just turning in place. Go slow enough that you do not get dizzy. After you go around twice, then we're going to go twice the other way. And remember, the primary direction is releasing down. That's what liberates this foot. And then releasing down. That's what liberates this foot. Now, 2 more times the other way. Turn left foot out. Shift. Turning. Right foot turns in. Shift. Left foot turns out. Shift. Right foot turns in. Neutral. Hands together. Rub. Quad. Groin area. So notice the vector down like a shape of a V on the quad. Right? All the way up, all the way down. So don't just stay in a small space. Get that whole quad. Then notice the change of vector along the hip flexors, this bundle of tendons in the front. And then around a small V, out, in, out, in. And then up on the lumbar. And then now, like you're sitting in your chair, but don't. Butt goes back, sweep the hands down the outside of the legs, around to the inside of the legs. As you stand up, come up the inside of the legs to the belly button, the middle. Qua, the V shape. Hip flexors around, sort of circumferential. Sacrum, lumbar, and then the butt goes back a little. Sweep down the outside, around to the inside, all the way up the inside, past the navel, past the groin to the navel, and one more. Qua, hip flexors, sacrum, lumbar, and through and around. And then finally, up the outer arms like a chi reset, turn down the inner. Up the outer, past the shoulder, turn the arm, down the inner. So these are the yang channels, yin channels. Yang, and yin. Switch, yang channels, yin, yang, yin. And finally, shogun or closing, settle, middle embrace. Just hold this for a few moments. See the shape. I'm not sharp and active, but I'm also not limp and totally lifeless. There's this quality. Belly button, hands relating to that. And then make sure your knees are just a little soft. Low back is hanging. This is like the lightest of the standing meditations. It's like chi weightlifting, where we're not just letting our body be totally let go of, right? We're doing something but very little, and then removing any of that Li or tension-based strength that we might use to hold us up. So that the only thing holding us up is that underlying liquid-based, fluid, hydraulic, soft system. Final 3 breaths. And seal the practice. Here's the navel. 1, 2. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see some of you on Friday. If there are questions, feel free to unmute yourself first and then ask.